Hey there, welcome back to the shop. Let's see what is next in line here. We have a Chihuahua, we have a few leaf blowers, there is a Stihl MS170 with a running issue, there's an MS250 with a starting issue, there's a 362 for service, there's a Husky 51 that doesn't run. Right now, let's grab this MS170. It's been a while since I've made an MS170 video. Get on my workbench. Hi there. Welcome back to my workbench. My name is Erica, and I am so happy that you're here today. On the bench today, we have a Stihl MS170, and the customer says that it will not idle. It will run, he said. It will rev up, but it won't idle. So come along with me and let's find out what this MS170's problem is. Well, here we are today with the Stihl MS170 with a running issue. So this is a 2017 model, and you can no longer buy the Stihl MS170 in Canada. I'm not sure about other parts of the world, but here the 170 is done, and the replacement is called a Stihl MS162. He doesn't really want a 162. He likes this saw. So depending on how serious this is, we're going to fix it. So he says it will run, it will rev up, but it will not idle. So we're going to go through the usual process here and find out what this thing's problem is. Just a quick walk around on the saw, looking at plastics and handles and looking for stuff missing. It looks to be intact. I don't see any damage. The chain is not on backwards. So let's have a look if there's fuel in it, and then why don't we just pop outside with it and see if we can replicate what he was describing. Let's just dump that fuel out and take a look at it. Got a clean cup here. There's a little bit of dirty fuel in it. I don't see any water, but I see lots of dirt. So I'll pour that bit of fuel back in it, but I'll leave a bit in here. Most of the dirt will stay in the container. I do want to try starting it off of his fuel before I change anything. I know some of you are probably thinking, why is she putting that dirty fuel back in there? But there, I just left the dirty puddle in the bottom of that container. And that should be enough fuel in there to run on. Just make sure there's bar oil in it. Yep, there is. Well, let's pop outside with this thing and see what he was describing. I'll meet you out there. Well, that little saw seems to start and run okay. It revs up, it idles, it restarts. So I'm not really sure. He said there was an issue. So let's just go through this thing. We'll give it a light service if it needs anything. We'll check the air filter, the spark plug. We'll make sure that the spark arrestor is clean. We'll flush that tank out. I know there's more dirt in there. I'll put fresh fuel in it. And we'll just look it over good before we send it back out. So let's pull that top cover off. Okay, so the air filter is not sitting in there correctly. And I think it's the wrong air filter. So these MS170s, there was two different styles of air filters. The other one has a bit of a step in it. I'll get one and show you, but I don't think it's the right one. And it was not in there correctly, and the saw has been obviously been sucking dirt past the air filter. So there is the proper air filter for it. You can see a bit of the difference. Okay, so we'll clean this up. We're going to put a new air filter in it. I've got a service kit here for this. Fuel filter, air filter, spark plug. There's the part number. That's for the MS170s that have that newer style air filter. This air filter is for the older style MS170. That's pretty carboned up, pretty black. The piston and cylinder look okay. There's a carbon buildup on top of the piston, but I don't see any scoring. The cylinder wall looks good. Okay, so this service kit comes with a new spark plug, but it's not an NGK. It has the Stihl emblem on it, ZK C14, made in CZ. What's that stand for? The Czech Republic? I'm going to have to look and see what that stands for. Google tells me that that is the Czech Republic. So this would be the equivalent of an NGK BPMR 7A. I just went and used compressed air and cleaned that intake area up. So we will install his new proper fitting air filter. That looks better. Okay, so new plug in tight, new air filters on. I'm going to dump that fuel out, flush that tank out, and we'll put my fresh mix in it. Looks like we got it all out. Quite a lot of dirt in his fuel. Let's replace that fuel filter as well. It comes in this kit. Okay, so new fuel filter on. And then when you put it back in there, just make sure that it goes back down into the bottom of the tank and doesn't get caught in the neck, because they will do that. Okay, fresh fuel. This is a fresh batch of Echo Red Armor. And these saws do not hold very much fuel. It's easy to overfill them. Okay, so there's his fuel filter, spark plug, air filter. Those are handy little kits if you're doing services like this. Let's just pull that off and check that spark arrestor. These saws are very common to have that little screen get carboned up. That wasn't super tight, so I'm guessing that someone's had this off before. Usually they're a little tougher than that to get off. That's just 2 8mm nuts on there. I use this tool 100 times a day. 5910, 890, 2420. And there's our screen right there. And it's pretty clear. There's a little buildup on the edge there, but that wasn't causing us a problem. Sometimes you'll take these screens out and they're totally packed. You can't see through them. And that will cause you generally a revving up issue. The saws will oftentimes sit, run, and idle, but they won't rev up if these are plugged. But we've got it out, so I'll just clean that little bit off of it and we'll put it back in. Okay, so we'll reinstall our screen. I know some guys would just chuck them. I can't do that. Okay, so if you have an MS170 with a running issue, taking this little plate off and checking that screen would be in your top list of things to do. I've seen many people throw these saws in the dumpster because they wouldn't run, and they have replaced the carb and replaced the fuel line, air filter, and spark plug, and done everything, and the problem was that screen the whole time. So don't let that trick you. There is little fins here that you can look through. Sometimes you can shine a light through them. I've done this, looked in there and said, oh yeah, the screen is clean, but you pull it out and it's plugged. It's very deceiving. So I wouldn't go by just looking through the fins. I would take it out and have a look at it. Take the bar and chain off this. The chain adjuster on an MS170 is on the front of the saw, unless you have added a side tensioner to it, which we have done a video about. It's easy to put a side tensioner on this if you want to. I see lots of grass. You can see that blue ring all the way around the bar. That is heat treatment from the factory. We'll just quickly pull this side apart, give it a quick inspection, cleaning, we'll grease the bearing, and we'll put it back together. It won't take us very long. And if you have a 170 at home and you've been looking for how to maintain these, then this will give you a better idea. Okay, so you've got your clip, and then you've got your washer, and then you've got your clutch drum. And I see we've got all kinds of material wrapped around the crankshaft. So you don't want that in there. So that's another reason why taking these apart for inspection and cleaning is a good idea. You don't want stuff wrapped around your crankshaft. And there's your needle bearing. So the clutch looks good. The springs look good. I see no problem in here. Everything's nice and tight. So when you take this apart for inspection, you're looking at these clutch springs to make sure they're not broken or loose and floppy. If they were, you would replace them. The shoes aren't broken. Everything looks good. So this bearing looks to be in fine condition. If it was broken or falling apart, you would put a new one in. So we're going to grease this and reinstall it. So I'm just going to apply some all-purpose grease to this. This is something you should do on a regular basis. Take it apart, clean it, grease it. Okay, so greased up. Back on the crankshaft. Okay, you're going to inspect your clutch drum, clean it out if it's dirty. These will often get a bit of a buildup on the inside, which sometimes makes them hard to get off. Okay, so we'll just clean this all out. You inspect it for wear. This does have a little bit of wear on it. We will put it back on, but we'll note on his invoice that it's just showing a little bit of wear. Okay, so I just cleaned that all out, gave it a wipe down. So this notch is going to go over top of the oil driver arm, which you can see. Well, you may not be able to see it, but it's down in there. So you just line them up. Slide it on. We'll put our washer back on. And your clip, if it's in good condition, if it was really worn, really loose, you'd put a new one on. I think technically every time you take this off, you're supposed to put a new one on. But at home, I'm sure that's not what happens. It looks to be in good condition, so we're just going to reuse it. Okay, so we're all cleaned, greased, put back together, and we got all of this debris off of our crankshaft. So this stuff that we found wrapped around the crankshaft, this could have been causing him an idle issue. I've seen this before: grass, baler twine, string. I've even found pieces of wire wrapped around the crankshaft. So although it didn't cause us an issue out there, this very well could have been his problem. So we have found this mess, we found the wrong air filter, and we found some pretty filthy fuel. But I'm going to lean towards his idle issue was coming from a buildup on his crankshaft, just causing resistance. The engine isn't powerful enough to fight this at idle. I'll just bag up the evidence. Some customers love to see all of these little details. Some don't care, but some do. Okay, so we'll bag and tag that. I just gave his clutch cover a blow off. So on an MS170, that is your chain catcher right there. It's part of the clutch cover. Okay, well, we have gone over all of the basics of an MS170. If you have an MS170 at home that's giving you problems, just follow my steps and go through your air filter, spark plug, take a look into the piston cylinder, make sure everything is okay. You want to check your fuel quality, check for water, check for dirt. You want to check that spark arrestor to make sure that it is clean. Taking the clutch side apart, greasing that bearing, and just inspecting for debris, anything wrapped around. So we're going to throw sharpen on this chain, and we'll take this thing out to the wood pile and see how this 30cc saw performs in some oak firewood. Okay, so I'll head over and sharpen it now, or Tyler will. Well, this little Stihl MS170 chainsaw runs, cuts, and idles. So we couldn't find an issue with it when we ran it the first time, but we went through it, gave it a quick service using this service kit. So new air filter. He had the wrong air filter in it, a new spark plug, a new fuel filter, and I just blew everything out as we went. Removed the clutch side, the clip and washer and clutch drum and the bearing. We found a bunch of debris wrapped around the crankshaft. We greased the bearing, cleaned everything, put it back together, and we dumped a little bit of really dirty fuel out of it. So fresh mixed fuel, a sharp chain, and this little saw does exactly what it's supposed to do. So I guess that's it for the Stihl MS170 that won't idle. This thing is heading back out to do some more work, and we're on to the next chainsaw. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.